Welcome to Professional Seduction, the place to find, flirt, and fall in love with your career. I'm your host, Chanel Caraway. Business leaders and industry experts will share tips and advice to help push your professional life forward. And if you're trying to figure out a career, we'll help you out with that too. Joining us is Belma McCaffrey. She is the founder and CEO of Work Bigger. Belma, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
So first off, tell us about Work Bigger. What exactly is this?
Yeah, so Work Bigger is a platform with the focus of challenging the status quo and redefining work. So that work is really a vehicle for creativity, making a difference, and also living an awesome life. And we do that in three ways. We have our programming and education, which helps and gives women a framework for finding a career that they feel connected to. We have a really amazing community to help facilitate connections. And the third piece is content. We have a platform where we provide resources and content to make that career transition easier.
Excellent. Tell me how Work Bigger has evolved. Just in our conversation, I came to understand that this has been sort of a labor of love. It's kind of grown and evolved as you've immersed yourself in this.
So Work Bigger started as a blog. In January 2016, I decided to start writing. I was actually transitioning out of another company that I had been working to build that was also focused in the career space and focused on women. I was also working at the Associated Press full-time in business development, and my son was a few months old. But I had these entrepreneurial ambitions, and writing was the only way that I could pursue my mission in a way that felt healthy. So as I started writing, I launched the blog and was very consistent with it. I would put out about an article a week. And from there, I accidentally started to build programming. I tapped into what it means to find your mission and what it looks like to work from a mission-driven place. And we launched the first pilot program in the fall of 2016. And when we did that, we had signups right away, and that's where I knew that was, my proof of concept.
We're onto something.
Yeah, I was like, okay, there's something here. So from there, we started working on the community aspect because I saw how pivotal community is to our work lives and our lives in general. It's so important to have a place where you can feel safe, have shared values with other individuals, and also make those connections in a way that doesn't feel awkward. So with the programming, the community, and then the content, we're now working on relaunching the platform from what was originally belmamccaffrey.com, because Work Bigger didn't exist when I started writing, to now workbigger.co.
So you're indeed working bigger. It's living up to its name.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you.
You have a three-step process to sort of help people love their work and in fact work bigger. Without giving too much away, because I want people to go to your site and really immerse themselves in the content. So without revealing too much, tell us a little bit about how this process, the three-step process, works.
Yeah. So there's three questions that I always encourage everyone to start thinking about when you're thinking about wanting to find more meaning in your work. The first piece is, what do you care about and why? So we talk a lot, and first I'm actually going to take a step back, because what I've noticed is that we talk a lot about finding your passion, right? That's something I grew up always hearing. What is your passion? And always thinking, I don't know what my passion is, so that must mean I'm completely lost and I don't know what I want to do with my career. But what I started to think about as I started doing this work is that there's really three questions that we should be asking, and it's really about finding your mission. Your mission is so much, I think that's really what anchors you to your work, whereas a passion is fleeting, right? You could care about something today, but not necessarily about it tomorrow. But when you're working from a mission-driven place, you're working from a place of service. And you're anchored to your work in a deep way. So that three-step process to find your mission includes getting clear on your passions and interests. So passion is a piece of it, but taking that a step further, asking yourself, why? Why am I passionate about cooking, as an example? What experience does that come from? So really understanding the deeper side of that. The second step is values. What do you stand for? Right? So our values should govern every single aspect of our lives, whether it's how we spend our money, who we hang out with, who we date, right? And it should also govern the companies that we align ourselves with. And if we're entrepreneurs, the kind of business that we want to bring into the world. And the third piece is strengths, and I'll even add weaknesses to that. So what are you really, really good at? And then also, what are your opportunity areas? Like, where is your growth edge? What can you focus on to continue leveling up as a leader? So if you're doing all these three things or working to answer these questions, then you're on your way to building that mission-driven career.
Definitely food for thought. And prior to you saying this, I'd never even really thought about sort of separating a mission from a passion, because I've always heard pursue your passion, chase your passion, be relentless about fulfilling your passion. But as you just said, that can be so fleeting. It can change as we age. Circumstances and situations arise that may all of a sudden change our passion. So that's really some food for thought for me, and I'll start to think about what my mission is, because like you said, that's the constant. That's what really will anchor you and center you, so that everything else can kind of evolve naturally.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So we'll definitely find out later how to get more information about the 3-step process. But before we do that, talk to me about your professional past, if you will, because you've had the privilege of working at, major companies, Fortune 500 companies, but you've chosen to sort of step away and really pursue your mission.
Yeah, so I graduated from Syracuse University and ended up in media right after college, and was working on the media agency side for a while. I ended up at an incredible agency. I worked at Group M for a few years, and then eventually I went over to the publishing side. I worked at Condé Nast, working with a sales executive team there, doing negotiations and business development. And then eventually I went back to business school because, while yes, I was getting this amazing experience in media, I started to feel a calling towards business and entrepreneurship, and I wanted to also have an understanding of the bigger picture outside of the work that I was doing in media. After that, I ended up at the Associated Press, which is another amazing organization. But yeah, so my experience has been in media throughout my whole career, and I've been lucky and fortunate to work at these amazing companies and learn from great bosses. But I am stepping away from that to run Work Bigger, because I ended up tapping into my own mission, which is about challenging the status quo and helping to create a world where we redefine work, and where we're leveraging our work to make that difference, to tap into our creativity so that we can solve some of the biggest problems. And I didn't necessarily feel that I could do that through these other organizations that I was at, so I'm essentially creating that path and that company for myself and others.
Tell me, how big a role do you feel social media plays when you're trying to pursue a passion, a mission, or even to just, learn how to work bigger? Where does social media fall into this?
Yeah, so for Work Bigger, social media plays a big role. So our community lives on Facebook. So I think it's very important in a way to leverage connections, bring people together. But, I think working bigger is really about working from a place of service. So social media is not a requirement for that. I see it mostly as a tool to help you make that transition, to help build those connections.
Great. One of the things about Professional Seduction that I want to really resonate and sort of rise to the top is the fact that we can sort of strip some of the stress out of career exploration and trying to figure out the next step in your professional life. So one of the things that I began to think about is, what if we approach work in a similar fashion to dating? What if we make it more fun? So what parallels, if any, can you draw between, for instance, a first date and putting our best foot forward on a first date, and doing something similar when we're going on an interview, or when we're trying to build solid, healthy relationships at work?
Yeah, so the parallels I see between dating and work is, what's most important is, no matter what it is you're doing, that you're coming from an authentic place, right? You're tapping into who you really are and what you really want, whether it's from a partner or whether it's from your work. So I think it doesn't necessarily matter, but understanding yourself on a fundamental level and being able to operate from that authentic place is, that center that we were just talking about. That's what will give you that. And, that can translate to having a successful relationship, but it can also translate to having a really successful career.
Staying true to self.
Yes,
That's always the common denominator, I feel, in anything in life. So tell me, what advice can you offer to young professionals who are just discovering their careers, or maybe struggling, just trying to figure out which direction they want to head in?
Well, so I've definitely been there. I spent all of my 20s feeling really stuck and really frustrated because I was looking for that thing in my career. So I would say is try to answer these 3 questions as you're pursuing different jobs, rather than letting them happen to you, right? Just be mindful, pursue them with intention. So try to hone in, what is it that gets me really excited, and why? Like, why am I excited by this aspect of this job? Tap into your strengths and when you really feel at your best at whatever job it is that you have right now. And also, what do you stand for? So the values thing again. And if you're not clear on all those 3 questions, that's okay. As long as you're pursuing each opportunity with intention and you're seeking out experiences that'll help you fill in those gaps. The other thing I would say, so I remember when I was going out networking in my 20s, early in my career, I would feel super, super awkward going out and having these conversations. I feel like I have to go out and impress everyone.
I still feel that way sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that's putting so much pressure on ourselves. So I would say do away with all of that and really be honest about what you don't know. If there's something that you feel uncomfortable about, just share it. Say, you know what, these are my knowledge gaps. I don't know anything about this industry. Can you help me out? And that'll allow you, again, to come from that authentic place and make a real connection with someone.
Thank you for that. As I was, again, just diving into all of the content that you have, something really stuck out for me. I am guilty of faking it until I make it.
Yeah.
You know, it's something that I feel like I've just kind of heard since youth. If you don't know something, sometimes you just got to fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
So I have been guilty of doing that more times than I care to admit.
Yeah.
But tell me why that's not a good idea.
Yeah, so I do think that there's a lot of value in faking it till you're making it. I've done it too, and I think the reason there's value is because it kind of gives you comfort, right? It's like, okay, well, none of us know what we're doing, so let's just keep moving forward. And I think that in itself is really valuable advice. I think where we go wrong is that we don't tap into what's really happening, right, when we're faking it till we're making it. And the reason that came up, I wrote about that on the blog, is because one of the Work Bigger graduates, I was on the phone with her and she was really stressed out. She was about to launch her pilot for her business. And I said to her, I was like, well, you know, just fake it till you make it. And I saw she had this just reaction. I'm like, you know what? I'm like, that's not always really good advice, is it? Because what I could sense from her, what she needed in that moment was an understanding of really what was holding her back. So while I think that advice is valuable, I think it's also really important to understand what's going on when we're feeling that lack of confidence. Where is that coming from? This woman in particular who went through the Work Bigger program, she was really stressed out because she was transitioning from a 9-to-5 corporate setting to now starting her own business, and that's a big learning curve.
Yeah, because 9-to-5, there's so much structure built into your day already.
Yes.
So going out on your own, it's like you have to create that structure and discover it yourself.
Yeah, and we're not always allowed to fail in a corporate setting. So I think for her what was really valuable was understanding why she was feeling so uncertain at the time, and I think having some deeper clarity around that can allow her to move forward versus, you know, fake it till you make it, like essentially just keep going and like don't ask deeper questions. And I think that's when it can be a little harmful.
And I think it's important to be in tune with the person you're saying it to, because you could say it, for instance, to me, and I'll laugh and like, okay, I know exactly what you mean. I'm just going to plow through this and it'll work itself out. But someone else may not receive it that way. So I think that's a really good distinction to make. And I will kind of dig deeper within myself and maybe not fake it until I make it so much, and identify some of the things that may be holding me back from getting to the next level. Yeah,
and what I'm hearing you say with that too is that you're almost being kinder to yourself, right? Because I feel like when you're just plowing through, it's like, okay, well, I'm taking action and I'm moving forward, but I also, it helps to just be like, all right, it's okay, I'm human. Like things are not gonna feel, I don't feel really confident right now, and that's okay.
Yeah, you can take a minute, reset, and then move forward.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Talk to me about some of the challenges or hurdles that you've had to jump over as you've decided to, evolve from just blogging at Belma McCaffrey to evolving into Work Bigger.
Oh my gosh, there's so many. So, well, one of my biggest challenges is that, it has been that I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I've been very clear on what my mission is, and bringing that to life while I was originally working full-time with a baby. My son was only a few months old. I would say that felt really overwhelming at first. But sometimes I think our constraints can be our biggest blessings because they push us to be creative. And I said, you know what? I really care about this. This is really important to me, so I'm going to find a way to make it happen. So after we launched the pilot for Work Bigger, or even actually before that, when I decided that I saw that there was some momentum, I negotiated a role at the Associated Press to work part-time. Oh. And that was so challenging because, we can probably talk about this forever, but there was a lot of pressure that I felt. I didn't know how they were going to receive that ask. I didn't know how, what their opinion was going to be of me. She wants to go and run another company while working.
Could go anyway.
Yeah, there was so much uncertainty. But once I did that, it was so challenging. But once I did that, then I was able to create more space and time in my day to work on my mission and my business, and also be a present parent, because that's super important to me too. And I didn't want to shortchange my family life for my work. Both are really valuable to me.
And again, that common denominator is you spoke about your mission. You were willing to sort of be vulnerable in a moment to fulfill your mission. And because you did that, space was created for you to fulfill your mission. So it goes back to what you were saying, identify your mission, and everything else will begin to fall into place and take shape right before your eyes.
Yeah.
It's really powerful.
Thank you. I have chills when you talk about it, because that's exactly how I feel about it. It really feels like that is my North Star. And if I can tap into that in those really challenging moments, because there's several of them, building a team is another one. There's so much fear that comes with that. But if I can tap into what I'm trying to accomplish and why, what is the purpose, what is the larger purpose, then I feel like I can make that decision and just feel a little bit more courageous versus coming from that place of fear, which can be paralyzing.
Right, and fear can keep you stuck and, and stagnant. So really powerful. So what's in the pipeline for you? What's next?
So we are in the midst of relaunching the website. It's going to be, again, go from belmamccaffrey.com to workbigger.co. We are building a team. So we have an amazing team of coaches to start, and then expanding beyond that. We also have our programming in place. The programming to me, and it's so important to the mission, because that's really what I've seen is lacking in our education system, right? We learn about science and math and all these other important subjects, but we're not really taught to ask the bigger, deeper questions that I think can pay dividends for years to come. So the programming, the Work Bigger program, is going to continue to be a pivotal part of Work Bigger, and really providing participants with that transformation that they're looking for, so they can go out and build a sustainable career path, right? Because it's not about finding the next job. It's about finding that work where you feel connected to, where you can make an impact, and ultimately just feel more fulfilled.
Absolutely.
So the program does that, so we're going to continue to focus on that and expand that.
That's great, and I really am intrigued by, learning more about what questions to ask, particularly for millennials as they continue to grow in the workforce. They don't always know what questions to ask, and an interview and culture are so critical to your success. And it's like a job interview is as much for you, the interviewee, as it is for the interviewer, because you want to make sure that it's a role you'll find fulfillment in and truly be successful in. So one more time for our viewers, where can we go to find out more information about the 3-step process and Work Bigger in general?
So you can go to workbigger.co. That's our new platform. And also we're on Facebook. So the Facebook community is open to women only right now, but you can go on Facebook /groups/workbigger if you're looking to join an awesome community of women. That's a safe space to come together.
Excellent. Belma, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate your time. Belma McCaffrey joining us. Thank you for joining Professional Seduction. Tune in next time. We will have Matt Levy, who is a strategist and life coach to help you push your professional and personal life forward. As always, a big shout out to Born in Brooklyn Media for helping to make Professional Seduction happen. We'll see you next time.